Oh, what could have been for Syracuse men's basketball inside Madison Square Garden tonight. They lose 67-53 against old Big East foe Villanova. Orange now 5-4 on the year. Can they bounce back? We'll talk more about that later. But there's a lot to unpack from this game. Myself, Jesse Cook, Danny Tao will break it all down. It's a late night edition of Orange Press Pass, and it all starts right now. Hello and welcome into our CitrusTV studios for a late night edition of Orange Press Pass. I'm Tyler Melito, joined by Jesse Cook and Danny Tao. 67-53, Syracuse loses to Villanova. And guys, there's a lot to unpack from this game. As I mentioned, what are your first impressions?
Well, Tyler, Syracuse, they need to be better at defending perimeter passing. They had a lot of trouble with that in this one. Villanova, especially in that second half, they had a field day. Syracuse could not cut off a single pass, and what does good perimeter passing lead to? Well, one, it leads to threes. We'll talk about the three game a little bit more later. But what else does it lead to? It leads to zone defenses breaking down and allowing inroads, and Villanova, the Wildcats just exploited it every single time.
Yeah, you're right, Jesse. And my first impression is just to give props to Villanova. I mean, they clearly had a game plan and they executed it. You don't take 51 threes, a program record for the Wildcats. You don't do that by accident. So Villanova clearly had a game plan, and it worked.
Props to Villanova indeed, Danny. Guys, if you haven't seen it, I know you two did, but I don't know about the rest of our viewers. Let's see how it all went down in the Garden. You would think that these players like Jimmy Boeheim and Joe Girard and Buddy Boeheim would have massive games. Well, one of those three did. Early on, you thought maybe this could be the breakout game for the Villanova transfer Cole Swider, getting the first bucket of the night from three. But then his former teammate, Colin Gillespie, one of the best players in the nation, gets that three-pointer to drop. Buddy Boeheim, mid-range, turnaround, he's mastered that shot right there. Gives the Orange a three-point lead. And then Justin Moore in the corner. Three-pointers, as Jesse mentioned, the story of the night. But minute 30 left in the first half. Joe Girard gets the three-pointer to drop to give SU the lead. Then on defense, the charge, he is amped up. The crowd loves it. Orange, 29-24 at the break. You thought early on, maybe in that second half, the Orange could pull away, pull off the upset. Girard makes it a one-point game off the three. And then in transition, finds Jesse Edwards slamming it home. SU has the lead. That was an and 1-2. But then the Wildcats started opening things up. Gillespie gets the three-pointer to drop. Jalen Samuels gets the three-pointer to drop. 53-point attempts on the night. Danny mentioned it, a Villanova program record. A mid-range shot here. Samuels tips it in, rebounding, another issue for Syracuse once again. And then on defense, Gillespie intercepts the pass. Wide open in transition, 3-on-1, never good for Syracuse as Samuel slams it home. And that was a nail in the coffin, 10-point game. Time winding down. Moore drops Boeheim on defense. That would do it. Seals it. Syracuse loses 67-53. And guys, you see it. Jimmy Boeheim had an awesome game, 21 points. But after that, not much for SU, Jesse.
No, not at all. Jimmy Boeheim, he's been a great newcomer for this team, but something happens to this team when Buddy doesn't pick up. And for better, to Buddy's credit or not, he's been a good player for this team. So when he doesn't produce, it's hard for anyone else to.
Yeah, and tonight it was Jimmy, it was a bit of Joe, but who else was it? I mean, when you're only getting solid production from two players, it makes it hard to win any basketball game.
Hard indeed. You know who would have a lot of insight about this game? Our reporter, Sam Lebowitz, was live inside Madison Square Garden tonight. He now joins us. Sam, world's most famous arena, two Big East foes. What was the atmosphere like tonight between these two teams?
Well, Tyler, the atmosphere in here was fantastic. I mean, it's the mecca of basketball. It was a dream come true to report a game here. Once the Tennessee and Texas Tech fans cleared out, the Syracuse and Villanova fans kind of funneled in. It got loud. It felt like an old Big East game, and there were heated rivalries here at Madison Square Garden tonight. Lots of rowdy fans, lots of violent cheering in the crowds. I don't mean actual physical violence. I mean, it got loud at points during this game. It was really fun to be inside MSG tonight. I'm glad I got to take part in this, and I wish you guys were here to bask in this as well.
Sam, what happened to the SU defense that allowed Villanova to pass so efficiently during that second half, especially around the perimeter?
Well, Jesse, I'm not sure that there was much of a difference in the passing game between the first and second half. I think there was just a flat-out adjustment by the Villanova squad in general. Jay Wright said after the game that it really took a half for Villanova to get used to Syracuse, both offensively and defensively, especially the zone. But in terms of the passing, well, Villanova opened up a lot of space. They crashed down on the baseline. They really spread out along the wing, and they spread Syracuse thin. There was really not a whole lot Syracuse could do. We know Syracuse had issues defending this year. It really, really came to a head against a team that's ranked by KenPom as 4th in offensive efficiency this year. Villanova came out very, very strong in the second half.
Yeah, Sam, Villanova was cold as ice in the first half, but they weren't willing to sacrifice the second. So what changed during the break for the Wildcats?
Danny, the story here is the rebounding. I mean, yes, Villanova shot much, much better in the second half. They shot just 18% from 3 in the first half, but they had so many chances. They out-rebounded Syracuse by 21 rebounds. They had 57 rebounds in this game. They shot a program record 50 times from beyond the arc. So yes, they shot just 26% for the game, but they made a lot more than 26% would indicate because they shot so much. And they shot so much because Syracuse could not rebound the ball. Cole Swider had a great game, a career high in rebounds with 12, more than 6, including Jesse Edwards. Syracuse could not crash the boards where they needed to, and Villanova, despite having less size than Syracuse, they were much, much more efficient under the rim, getting second chances. They had 25 second chance points. It really, really showed when you look at the results of this game.
Much safe travels. I don't know if you can hear me, but get me a slice of New York pizza and a bagel because I am starving. But coming up after this break here on Orange Press Pass, there's a lot more to unpack from this Syracuse loss. Danny and Jesse will have more for you. Stay with us right here on OPP. Well, welcome back into Orange Press Pass. I'm Tyler Melito, joined by Jesse Cook and Danny Tao. Syracuse falls to Villanova 67-53 in the Jimmy V Classic. Guys, a lot to unpack. We already talked a little bit more. We heard from Sam Lebowitz. Syracuse all season, the rebounding has been atrocious, and tonight it's the same. Nova out-rebounding the Cuse once again, especially on the offensive glass. So what are your thoughts from that, guys?
Well, the rebounding game has been a problem for Syracuse all season long, it seems. Their totals have decreased game after game after game, starting above 45 and now dropping below 35. So Syracuse, that's something they need to work on. They're one of the worst teams in the NCAA when it comes to rebounding. However, they're in the right conference for it because as far as the ACC, they're rather mid-tier.
Yeah, and I see a big problem with this rebounding. It comes down to the zone being in disarray. Take a look at this play from the second half. You've got Frank Anselm closing out on a shooter that Cole Swider is also closing out on, which leaves just 2 Syracuse players down in the paint to box out 2 Villanova players, except Buddy Boeheim is on the far side of the zone. He can't get position in time to get that rebound. So you may ask what ended up happening with this play? It's exactly what you'd expect. A missed jumper that Villanova gets the rebound and puts it back. If Syracuse wants to improve their rebounding, they need to figure out the rotations of this zone defense so that they have numbers advantages in the paint.
And as mentioned, guys, it's been an issue all season, and Syracuse is going to have to figure it out fast. Villanova, three-pointers galore, 50, a program record. As mentioned, Syracuse opponents now averaging about 27 three-point attempts per game. But how is Villanova getting these three-point attempts, guys?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's part of their game plan. That's how. They know the Syracuse zone. They want to move their shooters around. Part of the perimeter passing was to open up lanes inside. The other part was to make open shooters. And the thing about that is it's exactly what Syracuse wanted them to do. That's what the zone is designed to do. It's designed to tire out an offense and force them to take long shots. Just that Villanova took so many long shots, again, over 50, and eventually some of them have to go in. So it ended up working out for the Wildcats, but if Syracuse closed off some of those chances, we could have seen a very different outcome from these two squads.
Yeah, Jesse, you're right. As some of them had to go in, and frankly, Cuse is lucky that more didn't go in, only shooting 26% on 50 three-pointers. Even if they're shooting at an average rate, that's several extra points for the Wildcats in a game that, frankly, wasn't close enough where Syracuse could afford those extra points. So maybe it was good defense on Syracuse, maybe not, but they're lucky it wasn't worse.
Lucky indeed, Danny. Guys, I'm done talking about the negative. I want to talk a little bit of positive for a moment. Jimmy Boeheim, 21 points, leading the team, and I believe all players in scoring in this one. What did you guys see out of his game, Danny? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I said this the last time I was here on Orange Press Pass. I think Jimmy Boeheim is the most important player on this team because he's able to create off the dribble. And when he can do that, that opens up space for the shooters on this team. Your buddies, your Joes, your Swiders, who you need someone to collapse the defense and give them open looks. When it's Buddy or Joe doing that driving, they're not able to get the open look on the perimeter. So having a big guy, especially who's able to create off the bounce, is so huge for this offense.
You know, people forget Jimmy Boeheim put up over 20 points against Indiana in that massive overtime game. And here he is again, putting up another total over 20. Jimmy Boeheim, his point totals keep rising as the skill of the opponents keeps rising along with it. Jimmy Boeheim, he's been an important piece for this team, but don't just take what he does on the court, because off the court he's a major presence. That's part of what was so, I want to say, drawing about him as he was coming from Cornell, because he was a leader out there for 4 years, and he marches right into this Syracuse locker room, and he's a leader there. He's given the morale a huge boost on the court and, of course, in the locker room.
And so far, to make the argument, he's been the best of the newbies on this team. Guys, now back to the negative. The bench has been atrocious. We know Jim Boeheim likes playing a short rotation. So before we get your thoughts on how the bench played tonight, here's Coach with some thoughts as well.
Well, we haven't had that in a long time. You're going back a few years. We haven't had anybody come off the bench in the last few years that have been effective. You have to go back to, I don't know, were you going back to Dion Waiters? Or? Yeah, that was 15 years ago. 8 years ago. We haven't had anybody off the bench.
How big is just trying to develop the bench?
You know, Frank comes in, he's given us some good minutes. Samir gave us some, but, you know, we're limited coming off the bench. You know, we've got to get it done with the guys that are in there. And, you know, when you lose, that's what everybody says. Villanova played how many guys tonight? Was anybody asking them if they need to get anybody coming off the bench?
0 points from the bench tonight. And guys, before I toss it over to you, I just got to say, Jim Boeheim saying that this team hasn't had any bench scores for 8 years since Dion Waiters. Well, maybe, here's a thought, play more guys. Stop playing these 6-7 man rotations. But Jesse, please, am I crazy for thinking this?
Not at all. The bench doesn't play. I'm sorry, Coach, you're not going to get a whole lot of scoring from your bench when one of your top performers from that bench squad is getting 3 minutes. That's Benny Williams. Look, the lowest minutes given to a member of the starting five, that goes to Jesse Edwards. He's averaging somewhere around, I think, like 27 minutes per game. The top player off the bench, Benny Williams, he gets the most minutes, 14 minutes per game. You know the last time that Syracuse had their sixth man average fewer than 20 points in a game? Well, it was 5 years ago. Wow. Jim, you haven't gone to that in so long. You wonder why? Well, there is a reason, actually. It's because, look at your lowest scoring member of the starting five is Jesse Edwards. He has around 12 points per game. The top bench player, as far as points per game, is more than 10 points below that. So here I was at the beginning criticizing Coach Boeheim for not playing his bench. But Danny, I gotta say, there's a bit of a reason.
Yeah, and it's tough to say, Jesse, whether they're not scoring because they're not getting minutes or they're not getting minutes because they're not scoring. I mean, it's really just, it's tough to say where the real issue is.
It's a real chicken and the egg problem, guys. But let's have some fun. It's the holiday season coming up after this break here on Orange Press Pass. We're going to stuff some stockings, and you're not going to want to miss it. Stay right with us here on OPP.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back into Orange Press Pass. I'm Tyler Melito, joined by Jesse Cook and Danny Tao. Before we get back to those guys, there's still more to talk about from this 67-53 loss, Syracuse to Villanova, and that's the play of Buddy Boeheim. But instead of me saying it, Jim Boeheim, what are your thoughts on how your son played?
Well, they're good, really physical. He's got to get it off the dribble. You know, he's not getting any good spot-ups looks. He got a couple open threes, but that's after the game's been going for a long time. They're hard to make those when you haven't gotten any in the whole game. So, you know, he's been really good off the dribble. They're making him, everybody is making him go off the dribble. And, you know, he got to the shots. I mean, at Florida State, he didn't get to the shots. They were so double and moving on him. But that, you know, other guys had opportunities too. But with Villanova, they're physical enough with whoever's on him to make it tough for him. And he's going to have some of those games because he's going to get no easy shots the whole year, and the same with Cole. And they're going to have to figure a way to get off the dribble and get into the lane and make those shots. And
6 points for arguably the Orange's best player, guys. Yeah, they're Jesse and Danny. Guys, that's just not going to cut it if Syracuse wants to win any game.
Yeah, Buddy, not his best performance, but we've got some gifts for him, don't we? I've got him some nice new kitchenware. Why? Because he couldn't sink anything tonight, right here in the stocking. And frankly, I don't think Buddy really ended up on the nice list from this game. Maybe from previous ones, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lump of coal ended up in there as well.
Yeah, you're right. Buddy seems to be in his head a lot. So for his holiday season, I'm going to the optometrist. I'm getting Buddy a nice new pair of glasses. He needs to see the hoop better. He's clearly not making his threes. Just 0 for 5 tonight, about 25% on the season to this point. So if he wants to start seeing the hoop a little better and making these threes, he needs to improve his vision a little bit. That's why he's getting glasses.
Definitely needs to improve it. We're playing stocking stuffers here on Orange Press Pass with these guys, if you haven't figured it out already. They're giving gifts for the holiday season to some of Syracuse men's basketball's players and maybe a coach. We talked about Buddy Boeheim. Jesse Edwards, he's been solid. Didn't foul out this game, guys. What are you giving him?
Well, let's just take a look here. Oh, it's I can't seem to get my hand out. It's glue! It's glue! Jesse Edwards saw so many rebounds just trickle off his fingertips. He had butterfingers tonight. So, in this stocking, which is just stuck right here, why? It's glue. Jesse, you got to get a better handle on things, man.
Yeah, and mine is in the same vein of yours. It won't fit in the stocking, but it can go under this tree right behind me. Jesse Edwards is getting a barbell for this holiday season. He needs to bulk up and hit the gym. I mean, he's just getting manhandled in the paint. He needs to add some muscle so he can go up strong, finish some of these times he's going to the line instead of getting 2 points. He's just got to get bigger.
Got to get bigger, but guys, Jesse Edwards, the only player who shot a free throw for Syracuse tonight. And I believe he was, 8 for 15? He was pretty darn good. All right, one more for you. We got to talk about the head man, Jim Boeheim. He's getting up there in age, but what are you guys going to get him for the holiday season? He deserves a lot for all he's done for Syracuse men's basketball. But for this year, 2021, what are you guys going to get him?
Well, I'm having a little trouble looking inside the stocking here. Maybe it'll melt off by the end of this game. So let's look behind the menorah. Well, what do you see for Coach Boeheim? Well, tell you, it's not what he would want. It's a calculator because his zone, we keep coming up with different numbers. 2-3, 1-1-3, 1-3-1. Who cares? Get something that works. It didn't work versus Villanova today, and it's going to have problems throughout the season. I'm so anxious about this. It got the stocking off my hand. Jim, what are you doing if you can't add up a 5-man rotation that actually works on defense?
Yeah, I'm again getting slightly similar gift, but for the offensive side. You might find it hiding in that bag up there. We'll find out about that later, perhaps. But Jim Boeheim is getting a whiteboard from me for the holiday season because he needs to draw up some better plays. Take a look right here. This is from the end of the first half tonight. You've got Jimmy Boeheim with the ball at the top of the arc, and they're just clearing out the lane for him. I mean, what kind of play is this going into the half? You just give the ball to your son and tell everyone else to get out of the way? What are we doing with designing a play here? Draw up some better plays, get some clean looks for your shooters, and just finish half strong, finish plays strong so that your team is scoring more points. At the moment, he's not really helping them in that department. He's just giving it to his players and saying, do what you do. He's not really helping them.
You know, I had a couple coaches growing up like that. You would just give the ball to their kid. Of course, that might have been like middle school basketball, so he probably had some inkling of what was going on.
Same principle, though.
Jim, maybe it's time to drop the father-son act, though.
Well, we'll see about that. Guys, first of all, don't buy me any gifts. I don't know how quality your gift shopping is. Maybe your gift wrapping's a little bit better, but who the heck knows. But I want to talk back to that full screen we had up a moment ago about Jim Boeheim and how his team started and finished the last few seasons. Do you think this team, as of right now, is tournament ready?
I'm not going to lie. Going into this game, I thought so. Coming out of it, I think no. If you can't play, sure, Villanova, number 6 team in the country, but they need to do better against ranked opponents.
I got to be honest, this just looks like the same Syracuse team as years past. They're going to be right on the bubble. We'll see if they make it in, though.
We've got a lot of time to figure it out, but we don't have a lot of time left in the show. Coming up after this break here on Orange Press Pass, Danny, Jesse give their final thoughts on Syracuse's loss to Villanova. And we also got to talk around the ACC because a big team lost tonight in the ACC. Stay with us. Welcome back to Orange Press Pass. I'm Tyler Melito. They are Danny Tao and Jesse Cook. We're running out of time, guys, but let's look around the nation tonight. A few big games, including one upset loss from Virginia, losing to James Madison. But what stands out to you guys?
Well, that Virginia game is important, but what stands out to me, Texas Tech beating number 13 Tennessee. Texas Tech, they're a team that's always creeping around the tournament, sniffing their way in and finding some way to upset things. And then how about Michigan destroying Nebraska? We knew that Michigan was going to be good. They landed on their feet after falling in March, and beating Nebraska just personifies that.
I mean, dropping 100 points in a conference game, that's huge. Nebraska's supposed to be a bit improved here, but losing by that much to Michigan, that doesn't show me any improvement.
UVA also struggling, 52-49 loss to James Madison. Looking at the ACC standings as of right now, not many ACC games so far, but you see Syracuse 1-0 in the conference, guys.
I mean, I also see Syracuse having the most losses in the conference, which is a bit of a worrying sign moving into conference play in a couple weeks. But you're right, they're 1-0 so far in the ACC, and I guess that's what matters.
Yeah, I think it's a little early to talk about Syracuse as far as losses because they've played a lot of better teams, but Wake Forest being at the top does not surprise me at all.
All right, next game, big game. Syracuse, Georgetown, we circle it every year. Who do we got? What do you guys want to see?
I mean, I want to see a Syracuse win, but it's a rivalry game. Throw the numbers out, throw the rules out. There's no way to predict who's going to win this game because these teams bring it. Every single time they meet on the court, there's intensity, and it's going to be fun.
Look, Georgetown has a three-headed monster in Aminu Muhammad, Dante Harris, and Donald Carey. But Syracuse, they're going to have a lot of orange in the crowd as people are traveling down. So the rivalry mentality will play into this.
Get your popcorn ready. OPP, 4 o'clock on Saturday. Guys, under 90 seconds, final thoughts from this one.
Look, if you ask me, my final thought is that Syracuse just needs to be better at, well, defending the three and defending the passing around the perimeter. They have no idea how to defend people on the outside. And I think that's a product of the zone, which has been revamped time and time again during this season alone. So that's what I believe, is that Syracuse needs to figure it out from three-point range.
I'm going to agree with you a little bit for my final thought. Syracuse needs to figure it out. This team is at a crossroads in their season right now. Are they going to be the same old 500 bubble team, Syracuse, that we've seen previously several years past? Or can this team break the mold? Can they be something different? They've got a few weeks before ACC play really starts to figure it out, but they got to figure it out.
I can't agree more. They got to figure out, and they'll have an opportunity to figure out on Saturday on the road against Georgetown. You're not going to want to miss it. Orange Press Pass, as mentioned, 4 o'clock. But tonight, Syracuse loses to Villanova inside the Garden, 67-53, 5-4 on the season. For Jesse Cook, Danny Tao, the rest of our CitrusTV sports crew, I'm Tyler Melito. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.